Southern New England's trusted news source, ABC6 News, first at 4.
Stayed up late Friday, rearranged all of our flights, all of our parks, so we were lucky to get out today.
Rhode Islanders rushing home from Florida as Hurricane Ian. Right now, a Category 3 storm is closing in on the Sunshine State. And breaking at this hour, Orlando International Airport will be closing tomorrow morning because of Hurricane Ian, which is on track to make landfall in Florida on Wednesday night. All flights in and out of the airport will stop at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Travelers should contact their airlines about rescheduling their flights. Let's take a live look at Key West, Florida right now. You can see that storm already creating an ominous look over the beach there with gusting winds and rain already. We have live team coverage for you this afternoon. Jeff is busy in the Weather Center tracking Ian's path, and we are live at T.F. Green Airport in Warwick, where dozens of travelers just arrived from Florida. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm Tiffany Murphy. We'll get to Jeff in just a bit, but first, let's begin tonight at T.F. Green, where 2 flights from Florida just landed moments ago in Warwick. ABC6 News anchor Olivia DeRocha is standing by at the airport. Good afternoon, Olivia.
Tiffany, that's right. Those were the 2 flights in from Florida of the day. The first from Orlando, the second from Tampa, which, as we know, is really expected to take the main hit of Hurricane Ian. Now, Tampa Airport actually suspending all operations beginning tonight at 5 o'clock. That means no flights will go in or out of the airport beginning at 5 o'clock, really until further notice. Now, here's another map of the impact that we are expected to see. Preparations underway across the whole state, like securing hospitals, boarding up windows and cutting down trees. Evacuation orders, both mandatory and voluntary, keep pouring in for much of the West Coast ahead of the anticipated landfall tomorrow. Now, while many are fleeing the state, I spoke with a Red Cross volunteer from Rhode Island who just flew in to help with storm preparations. Jerry from Warren arrived in Orlando on Sunday and says this is his first volunteer operation he has ever participated in.
People like myself who are going to be shelter workers, we're waiting for 2 things. A, the preponderance of shelters to open up for evacuees, and then to be given our assignments where we'll actually be going to help out.
Now, the Rhode Island and Connecticut region of Red Cross says it has dozens of volunteers on standby to deploy after the storm hits. Red Cross volunteers head down for a 2-week period. Now, coming up at 5, you'll hear from dozens of evacuees who just landed here in Rhode Island to escape that storm that is expected to hit tomorrow. Tiffany.
We'll see you at 5 o'clock, but before you go, Olivia, are there any flights that are scheduled to come into Rhode Island tomorrow from Florida?
Tiffany, there are 2. One of those has already been delayed, That is from Orlando. We're just going to have to keep an eye on that. As we know, those operations at the Orlando airport will be stopping tomorrow at 10:30. Back to you guys.
So as we showed you at the top of the newscast, parts of South Florida already feeling the impacts of Hurricane Ian. Heavy rain drenching downtown Miami today, and the wind arriving in the Florida Keys. More than 2.5 million people under evacuation orders at this hour. In the Tampa area, highways slowing to parking lots as Floridians scramble to safety.
If you're in an evac zone, you need to move. You will be on your own at some point if you're in an evac zone and you choose not to move.
Meantime, President Biden also addressing the storm from the White House during a speech this afternoon.
My administration is on alert and in action to help the people of Florida. I've approved Florida's request for emergency assistance immediately upon receiving it from the governor when they received it. And I directed my team to surge federal assistance there before the storm hit.
5,000 National Guard members in Florida, along with 2,000 Guard members from other states, are mobilizing right now. The Red Cross is prepared to open as many as 60 shelters there. For more on Ian's path, let's get straight over to Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jeff DeNoyer.
Yeah, Tiffany, so many people focus on the wind with the hurricane. You hear Category 3, Category 4. There is storm surge. There is heavy rainfall. The angle that this will hit the coast in Florida is going to cause devastation for parts of the west coast of Florida, especially from about, we'll say, Tampa down to Bonita Beach. Now, obviously, the eye is very impressive. It's so much more organized. And this is a huge hurricane as well. Let's throw some radar in there. And you can already see those feeder bands, those outer bands affecting Dade County and Miami today. So already some heavy rainfall part of Florida, and the storm is still well south and west and will likely not get closer to the coast until tomorrow night. Now, the track is something we all watch. It's a Cat 3, high-end Cat 3, likely Cat 4 soon. Sustained winds are close to 130. Once they go higher than 130, that's when it becomes a Category 4, and that should happen very soon. Yeah, it may weaken a little bit once it moves towards Florida, but it's still an incredible hurricane with storm surge that could be 8 to 12 feet, rainfall totals approaching over a foot. And this is an area, a very low-lying area where the flooding will likely be enhanced. Look at this graphic here. This takes you from Tampa all the way down to Punta Gorda, and you're looking at an 8 to 12 foot storm surge. That's pretty devastating for western portions of Florida. They certainly are getting what we call the dirty side of the hurricane, and it's going to be something that we're watching for the next 24 to 36 hours. And coming up, we'll talk about how we may get an impact from Hurricane Ian. It's a roundabout way, but we may, and I'll talk more about it on the way. Tiffany.
Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate you. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to download our ABC6 News app. You can get the latest updates on Hurricane Ian and get news and weather alerts sent straight to your cell phone. Now to breaking news at this hour from Wall Street. Stocks ending mixed this afternoon. The Dow closing down more than 100 points, giving up an earlier gain of nearly 400 points. The Nasdaq and S&P also ending in the red. The unsteady stock market comes as investors are still concerned that the Fed is going to raise rates again and cause a recession. This is now the longest losing streak for the stock market since February of 2020. New details at this hour about last night's standoff in Central Falls. A 34-year-old man now facing charges for allegedly holding a woman at a home against her will. It sparked an hours-long standoff. Police say Michael Mogazel barricaded himself inside of that multifamily home on Tremont Street for more than 5 hours last night. That victim was eventually able to run out of the home along with 2 other women who were in an upstairs unit. Mogazel finally surrendering around 10:45 last night. Police believe he was on drugs at the time.
I've been here almost 40 years and I've never seen anything like this. Never saw this amount of police presence in one place. One of those things, I've had enough. If I'm able to move, I'll move.
Mogazel was arraigned today on several charges, including kidnapping and simple assault. He's being held tonight without bail. Meantime, police in Central Falls also investigating after 2 people were shot. It happened last night near the Francis Corrigan Sports Complex, but this is unrelated to that standoff. The victims have non-life-threatening injuries. Still no word tonight on any suspects. New this afternoon at 4 o'clock, 3 contractors arrested for stealing over $60,000 from construction workers. Those 3 suspects accused of stealing from 14 construction workers who were working on a school in Woonsocket in 2018 and 2019. Prosecutors say they didn't pay the workers all of the money they were owed. All 3 are now facing multiple charges. In Portsmouth, crews rescuing a man they say fell off of a boat. It happened yesterday morning near Island Park. A caller told the fire department that boater was last seen about 70 feet from shore. 2 rescue swimmers found that man who was treading water but couldn't get back to land himself. He was taken to the hospital to be evaluated. Now to a follow-up out of Woonsocket, where the fate of Mayor Lisa Baldelli Hunt's could be decided tonight. The Woonsocket City Council holding a hearing to potentially remove her from office after getting the green light from the state Supreme Court. Several city council members claim Baldelli Hunt is not performing her duties as mayor. Baldelli Hunt says it's a political attack since she's running unopposed for the position in November. Now to a focus on our schools. The Providence Public School District hosting a job fair today in hopes of filling dozens of open teaching positions. We're told more than 100 people interviewed for jobs, including teachers, teaching assistants, bus monitors, clerks, and crossing guards. The district hosting the job fair as a way to get staff into the building as soon as possible, even hiring some people right on the spot.
Less than an hour, and it was very, as I said, organized and streamlined. From what I hear, Providence is really lacking some teachers to be in place, and it would be great if we could have the help for our students.
We're told any full-time clerk or teaching assistant hired today will receive a $2,500 bonus. Meantime, more help is on the way for Rhode Islanders struggling to pay their energy bills. Senator Jack Reed announcing he's pushing for an extra $1 billion in federal funding for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Last year, that program provided $56 million in home heating assistance for Rhode Islanders.
This is a program that benefits people all over the state in every community. Most are either over 50 or their families with young children, and they're very vulnerable. But in addition, this helps our small businesses, our oil companies, because otherwise they're in the dilemma of delivering without payment or stretching it over a whole year. So this is a win-win program, I think.
This comes less than a week after the Public Utilities Commission approved a rate hike, with Rhode Islanders now having to pay an extra $50 every month. That starts October 1st. Just ahead on ABC6 News, first at 4, a spacecraft crashes into an asteroid. Does it sound scary? Well, it was actually on purpose. Why NASA hopes it'll help against future threats. Plus, we are just weeks away from federal student loan relief going live, and one law firm is already looking to challenge the plan. And Gillette Stadium already looking forward to the holidays. We'll tell you all you need to know about the return of the magic lights. You're watching ABC6, Southern New England's trusted news source.